Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out GITGUDracing.com. I've coached hundreds of drivers, from real-life racers to sim enthusiasts, who experience rapid improvement after just one session. And while investing in top-notch hardware is great, imagine how much more you can elevate your experience by adding coaching to the mix. My methods are practical, aiming to break down complex concepts into easily digestible bits that are simple to understand. You can find reviews of the sessions I've conducted on the Fiverr link provided in the video description. Let's elevate your racing skills together. Now for the track guide. For turn 1, what I'm using as a reference for braking is the 100 board right here. I want to brake past the 100, so it's a very heavy braking zone. You should arrive to around 90-95 brake pressure, in some cases even 100, because you really want to gain as much as you can on this entry, just because this is a chicane, and after this chicane you have a straight in which you can cool the temperature of the tires. You don't really have to manage the tires into this corner, so my advice here is brake as late as you can after the 100 meter board, immediately picking up to 90-95 brake pressure. And what's important right now while we're braking in a straight line is, first of all, to have the steering wheel straight. The second thing is to downshift as quickly as we can, so we can add some engine braking. The third thing is to bring the brake bias towards the rears in this corner, just because we will have more efficiency under braking and we will avoid the front tires locking up. And the last thing is using this green part to the left side of the white line on entry, because we want to open up the next corner as much as we can, and using this part of the track around here is key before turning in. Now while we're going towards the apex, it's important to trail brake and to cut as much as you can this curve right here. The timing is also very important. You want to be on the brakes the moment that you touch the curb and you mount it like this. I'm still holding the brakes, and immediately after the car lands, now I'm giving it a blimp of throttle in between these corners, and now I'm giving it the final throttle application. What people usually are doing into this corner is that they are braking a bit too early, and as a result they are on throttle at this point right now. This is wrong because you will lose rotation. The more the speed car increases, the rotation will decrease, so you want to still be on the brakes while you mount the curb on the inside. Now after you mount it, you want to go on power. The timing is very important, and a lot of people are doing this mistake. Now going into the next corner, again, kinda like a heavy braking zone initially. I'm using as a reference for braking the 100 again. I want to brake past the 100 here, so I'm looking at the 100. After I don't see it anymore, I'm applying the brakes, and again you want to brake in a straight line, you want to use all the track. I'm picking quite high, but not as high as in turn 1. And in this corner, the most important thing is cutting the left curb to the limit, to the grass. That's how you gain lap time. So here right now, I'm mounting it all the way to the left. If you will leave more space, the next corner is going to be difficult and you will have trouble putting the power down. So what I'm using to assess this corner or this chicane is the exit round here, because I want to be on power, but the main thing is that I don't want to drop it to 0 or 20, let's say. I just want to continuously going upwards, and you see here a small plateau. That's fine, but if you have to go downwards, then that's not usually a good corner. Now moving on into the next one, the reference for braking for me here is this shadow right here. You can also use this distance to this orange cone. That's also gonna work, as I'm braking at the orange cone almost. So you can use that, or you can use the shadow. The main thing here is you want to brake soft. You don't want to brake very hard. We're using the brakes more to make the car rotate, not to slow it down. So in this medium speed corner, I'm using 9% or 10% braking and still holding that 5%, 6%, 4%. And the apex point is whenever I see this orange part on this wall on the right side, whenever I see this part here, I'm applying the throttle and it's instantly going up using all the track on the exit. And the next corner is quite similar. Braking point at the 50 meter board. you will brake a bit harder than in the previous corner. So I'm having right now 20, 25, 30% brakes, and even before touching this curb on the right side, I want to already be on power and use the curb like that, like going over it. You will gain a lot of time by doing this, but ideally what you want to avoid is this hesitation under power. So ideally just going up as a straight line. Now the next chicane is very tricky, and with this car you can really throw it into the corner. So my reference for braking is this curve on the right side. Whenever I feel like I'm very close to it, I'm applying the brakes. I want to use it and mount it on my way to the corner, so I want to use all the track around here. Now, you don't want to brake very hard into this corner. You really want to use the downforce of the car to make the car turn. So it's again one of those corners in which, yes, you have to brake around 50, but you don't want to brake too hard because otherwise you will scrap speed. So braking around 50, trail braking and using this curb a lot in fourth gear. Now, the moment that I'm on the curb and off the curb, I'm applying the throttle, and you want to keep this throttle application. Right now the car is going to be very sketchy. It's going to go left right with a weight transfer. The way that you manage it is by using the least amount of steering angle. If you're going to use too much steering angle, you will understeer immediately. So you want to find that sweet spot in which you're not using too much steering angle, but at the same time the car doesn't start to understeer. Cutting all these curves and this one on the exit is going to be key, and you want to stay flat out. So if you look at my input after this corner, it was a brake and then throttle and no corrections under throttle. This is key here. If you're going to do a small correction under throttle, you will lose on this big straight. Now the last corner of the track, my braking point is the 50-meter board. You want to brake at the 50 and you want to apply, let's say the braking is very similar to the previous corner. The main thing here is that you're gonna trail brake for longer. So notice that I'm still on the brakes, still trailing, still on the brakes up until I'm very close to these lights around here. That's the moment when I'm applying throttle and we're going up without hesitation. That's again gonna be key. So the main difference between this corner and the previous one was that here we had to hold the brakes for longer, so we have to trail brake a bit more just because the corner is longer, and then putting the power down. And the earlier you're gonna be able to put the power down, the more time you're gonna gain to the straight. And in short, that's a track guide, Monza with Super Formula lights. I hope you have a great week ahead, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.